This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. Fun Tuesday show, a little NBA sprinkled in there, along with some Super Bowl storylines. Here we go. It's officially on. Whitlock believes the Atlanta Falcons are a great team. And hold on to your hats, folks. They should be favored in the Super Bowl. Did he forget that Bill Belichick is coaching and defense always trumps offense in the Super Bowl? Colin believes that the recent comments from Big Ben are a sign that he's getting frustrated with what's going on in Pittsburgh. Former NFL head coach Eric Mangini talks about the team speed of Atlanta's defense and how that will help them close on the Patriots' short passes. Little X's and O's for you from Coach Mangini. FS1 NBA analyst Chris Broussard talks a little LeBron James. I cannot believe that Cowherd and Whitlock genuinely think LeBron should not be complaining. Don't we want the best to complain? They're never satisfied. Jordan never was satisfied. Kobe was never satisfied. You've got to complain. Come on. Former Packers receiver and new FS1 NFL analyst Greg Jennings makes his first appearance on the show and chimes in on, of course, his former quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Are you ready for Speak For Yourself? Cowherd and Whitlock, take it away.
All right, welcome to the show. Colin thinks Mike Tomlin should be freaked out by Big Ben's retirement talk.
And Jason thinks the whole league should be freaked out by it. Speak For Yourself starts now.
What do you think about my red shirt?
I like it. I liked the blue one a couple days ago better.
I'm wearing the red in honor of the code red called at your former employer. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined on the panel today by Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings and former NFL head coach Eric Mangini. All right, let's start in Pittsburgh, where Ben Roethlisberger shocked a lot of people today, saying he will take this offseason to evaluate his options, leaving the door open to possibly retiring. Here's Big Ben.
Ben, how much do you feel like you have left?
I don't know. You know, it's one of those things that I was talking to my wife about it last night, and I've talked to my agent about it and coach about it, that, you know, I'm going to take this off season to evaluate, to consider all options, to consider health and family and things like that, and just kind of take some time away to evaluate next season, if there's going to be a next season, all those things. You know, I think that's, at my point in my career and my age, I think that's the prudent and smart thing to do every year.
That's a fair assessment in terms of where he is in his career. I'm not alarmed by it. His return, obviously, or potential for his return or not returning will weigh heavily in our planning. You know, he's a significant component, the most significant component of what it is that we do. And, you know, we'll plan and react accordingly.
All right, Colin, do you believe Big Ben is serious about retiring?
Yes, I think he's considering it. Will he execute it? I don't think he will, but I think it's a not-so-subtle shot and sign to management. This is about the fourth time this year, that a veteran quarterback who knows he's the biggest rock star in that region has said something after a big game. After the Dallas game, we're unprepared, we're undisciplined. After the New England game, we got out-coached. You don't say that as a Hall of Fame quarterback and think it'll end up in the notes column. That's headline stuff in Pittsburgh. And this is a guy who is frustrated with a football team that has a tripping coach, a Joey Porter issue, a Facebook Live issue.
Oh, come on. You sure? I don't know.
You really think Big Ben's not frustrated with Pittsburgh?
Might be very frustrated. This comment here, though, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think if I'm freaking out, it's the NFL that should be freaking out. This is a high-profile quarterback who could potentially make another 50, 60, 70 million finishing out his career, who's talking about his health and talking about concerns about concussions and talking about walking away from football at 34 years of age. And again, I think he'll play next year. But Troy Aikman did this. He had real concussion issues, walked away from football at 34. Big Ben last year, after getting a concussion, said things along these same lines. Last year, not this season, last year after concussion, talking about his health and making sure he can walk away from the game with good health. This is not some new revelation. I think, and I listened to the guy's comments, I think he's legitimately concerned about the physicality he's always played the game with and the beating he's taken at the quarterback position that other quarterbacks at 34 hadn't taken.
Yeah, I don't think this is a big issue. He's coming off obviously a huge disappointing loss, so he's dealing with that. He's beat up. He missed another couple of games this season. He gets hit more than anybody, and that's part of his style of play.
Right.
And he's got plenty of money. He's got a family and a future to think about now, and injuries are real, and the effects of injuries we're getting a lot more aware of, and then the long-term effects. And I think a guy like that, who's had tons of professional success, he's got a lot of money, plenty of money for the rest of his life, and now he's got to think about, do I want to be able to walk and do all the things that I want to do with my kids? I think it's completely reasonable for him to say what he said.
You think there's no connection at all to his frustration?
I definitely think there's a connection. But when you listen to what he said, in his statement, he said, a guy my age, in my position, I think it's prudent that I think this way every year. Meaning, I'm getting older, health is a concern, it's top of mind. Now, when you're younger, you're not thinking, Coach, you know this. You guys don't. When you're younger, you don't care. You play.
Invincible.
You think you're invincible, exactly. So you don't think about your health. Now I'm married, my family, all these things come to the forefront.
But Brady and Breeze are married happily with a family. You can't pull Tom away from the game.
Plays a total different game
but you
than Ben
can't pull
Roethlisberger.
Breeze away from the game.
Plays a total different game.
Completely different.
They've had surgeries. They've missed.
But they're completely different people, too. You can't, just because they're quarterbacks doesn't mean they're all going to think the same and they're going to think about their future the same. I think each guy's very different that way.
Listen to Big Ben during the season, after the highest profile game. So this is when the world was watching. Let's listen to him.
They're a great football team. Like I said, we undisciplined and not accountable. That's why they're one of the best in the business, and we're not right now.
Ben, you said accountable a couple times. How do you get to that point?
I don't know. Is it players? Is it coaches? I don't know, but we need to get there quick.
I mean, that is personal. Like if I was a quarterback and I said, we're not disciplined.
Comment.
But I'm saying is, then he said it after the Patriots game. Then he said it yesterday. Like all these this year, he has been frustrated for a year now. Then he criticized the practice schedule of Tomlin.
That was, again, those statements all stand as proof that he's frustrated with the organization, management, blah, blah, blah. This is a completely different comment.
So you don't think he was...
I don't think it's completely different. I think they go hand in hand. I definitely think it's legitimate that he's thinking about his health. That's every year.
Sure.
But I think what we've seen transpire, within that locker room, outwardly now, because we've never seen Antonio Brown do these types of things. Not to say that he hasn't been doing it, but now you see Big Ben calling him out on he has to stop dancing. He's Facebook living.
Yeah.
I mean, Joey, all these different things.
He's frustrated.
I believe he's fed up.
Look,
he came in with guys that as a young guy.
He was the kid.
Exactly, and it meant something to him for him to win for them. Right now, you see a young team that feels like my brand is bigger than this Steeler logo. My brand is important. He's tired of that.
I think this is part. I think it's boiling up. He's too smart. These veteran quarterbacks. There's like a rule in football. Like you don't call out your coach. You just.
Again, I don't think he's calling out his coach. This has been the most physical quarterback, other than Cam Newton, we've ever seen. He's taken more of hits. This is a bad look for the league and for football that someone hit this high profile with this much money on the line would even be thinking about walking away.
That much time.
Why is it a bad look? I think it's a good thing because people are more aware of their health. I think it shows a greater awareness by players of the short-term and long-term effects. And why is that necessarily a bad thing? It's something they should all be looking at.
To the Super Bowl where Tom Brady and the Patriots opened as a 3-point favorite. That's it against Matt Ryan and the Falcons. As far as I can tell, the Pats have a Hall of Fame quarterback, the best coach in football, the better defense, and more Super Bowl experience than any team ever. And I think New England should be a bigger favorite against Atlanta. Do you agree, Jace?
Totally disagree with you, Colin, and we're going to be arguing this for the next 2 weeks. Look, man, the Atlanta Falcons played 2 primetime games this year. One was during a presidential debate. No one watched. The other one was after the Cubs won the World Series. No one watched. People are asleep on Atlanta. You're asleep on Atlanta. You're asleep on Matt Ryan. This is a great Atlanta team. Great offense. They got the right coach in Dan Quinn with his Seattle experience against Belichick and that knows how to defense them. I love Atlanta in this game. They should be the favorites.
First of all, if I just forget the names, if I said, so there's a big game next week, I get the best football coach ever, the best quarterback, a significantly better defense, and these guys have been there like 7 times. And you'd say, yeah, but I like the other team's offense. We know that Julio Jones will not be a huge factor because
you're wrong.
Bill takes your best player out of games. He's done it for...
try. Julio's a different equation.
Well, I think that there's a lot of things at play here. So Dan Quinn was with me in New York, so he faced New England multiple times, so he's got that experience. You got Brian Cox on the defensive staff. You got Jerome Henderson. Both of them played for Bill. Both of them worked with me in New York, and so coached against that New England system for a while. You've got people in the front office who are very familiar with New England. And I think what you look at offensively is they do a lot of things in terms of shifts, motions, personnel groups, where it's not as easy to just say, okay, we're going to lock down Julio Jones. They make that more complicated than some other teams do. So I'm really curious to see what New England's approach is going to be. Are they going to try to match all that stuff, or are they going to change it and dictate the game to Atlanta? To me, if they take that approach, then it's a totally different
New England's strength is Brady. Atlanta's weakness is defense. Atlanta's strength is their weapons.
And offense, yeah.
I think the strength of New England defensively is their secondary. Malcolm Butler. I think their number 2 corners, one of the better number 2 corners. I think they have 3 elite players in the secondary. I think New England matches up really well with Atlanta.
I don't think anyone will disagree with that, but I don't see, when you're talking about a team that has put up 30-plus points in almost every game they've played this year, a team that, when you look at them from an offensive standpoint, their concern isn't defense. Why? Because they can put up points. Your concern is your defense. They pose a threat to you from a point offensively to where you know that you have to score with these guys. Is Belichick one of the best at defending guys? Absolutely. But I believe that Atlanta has so many different, they pose so much of a threat from the backfield, tight end position, across the board at receiver. They can beat you in so many various ways that I don't see it being an easy challenge for New England.
No, I think it's a good game. I think
you think it's an 8-point spread, though.
But you think it should be more than 3.
No, well, if I think it's more than 3, I don't think it's 12.
You said 8. I read your notes and I watched your show. You said 8.
I thought that. I think people in Vegas think it's a touchdown game, New England, but you can't put that out there because you'll get clobbered by bettors who will all take Atlanta.
Don't hide behind Vegas, Colin. You think 8 points?
I think New England.
You think 8 points?
I think New England's got a lot of boxes checked.
There are a lot of boxes checked, but 8 points is a pretty significant spread, especially in the Super Bowl. The other thing I like about Atlanta defensively is they've got good team speed. So as New England completes those short passes, their ability to close on those short passes, and you saw it against Green Bay, is different than a lot of other teams that I've seen through the season, and I think that helps them. And they can rush the passer in a couple different ways.
3 rookies on that Atlanta defense. Speed's only good if it's not running the wrong way. I mean, I saw this Pittsburgh defense.
I think we're underestimating their defense because they did something last week, this past Sunday, to Aaron Rodgers and that Green Bay Packers offense that we really hadn't seen them do.
Thank you.
They got pressure. They had him to where he was. Yes. You don't see. We hadn't seen them do that. I think their defense is getting better, and they play much better with the lead. So if Dan Quinn, look, if you're listening, take the ball, number 1. Put your offense on the field first. Let your defense pin their ears back and get after time.
I want to say one last thing to Man Genius over here, defensive guy. I think he's underestimating just how great Atlanta's offense is. This is going to be one of the historic great offense if they win the Super Bowl.
I think if you let Atlanta do what they want to do and you're trying to match up the volume of stuff that they have, it's really hard and it's a great offense. If New England can change that dynamic and force them to deal with the things New England's doing, to me, it's a totally different offense. So I'm curious to see what their approach is going to be. But that to me is the pivotal thing.
Four words.
Give me 8 points.
Four words.
I got this
2
question.
weeks, Bill Belichick.
Coach, how do you defend the two guys out of the backfield? The two-headed monster. Like, how do you defend that? If you're on the opposition of that.
Well, look, in facing a team like New Orleans and Drew Brees, which had volume and things along those lines, instead of trying to match everything up, and instead of trying to have the perfect matchup all the time, the perfect call, the perfect adjustment, you spin the Rolodex and you start mixing in some pressures, and it doesn't match up for what they're expecting. So now a smart guy like Matt Ryan, he's worried about what's coming from the other side as opposed to worried about what they want to do offensively.
Let's start with LeBron. Cavs lost to the Pelicans last night, 5th loss in 7 games. Doesn't mean much. Afterwards, LeBron went off about Cleveland's recent struggles, telling reporters, quote, "We're top-heavy as blank. We need a blanking playmaker." LeBron addressed his outburst today, tweeting, quote, "I'm not mad or upset at management because Griff and staff done a great job, and I just feel we need to improve in order to repeat. You know, if that's what we want to do." Jason, you have an issue with LeBron demanding another playmaker?
Look, no, I think LeBron's the general manager of the team. His agency represents Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith. They both got paid. They're 30-some-odd million over the cap under his directorship. Who's he complaining about? What's the complaint? He's getting to make all the decisions. This is the team he wanted.
I love what he did because he sent a sense of urgency throughout that organization, not only to the bench, but to the front office. LeBron James could sit back, rest on his laurels, and be complacent. I got Cleveland his first title in half a century. You know, I'm one of the top 5 players of all time. But no, he said, I'm 32 years old, be 33 in the winter. I don't want to waste time. I want to win. And he sees they're not only not as good as Golden State, they're not as good as San Antonio. So he's saying we have to improve. Now, I don't know what moves they can make. I'm just saying I like the fact that he is keeping the foot on the gas.
Yeah.
And he's done that. I think he's done that since he's been there. This is not the first time he's been critical of teammates or the front office.
Of his general managership. He's been critical of himself.
Whatever. But I'm saying it's worked. The last 2 years, I think they've overachieved.
Yeah, without question. And I have no problem with what LeBron did, okay? Colin, we've talked about this. Power is influence, okay? Michael Jordan's done this before. You read the Jordan rules. He bashed his GM back in the day, 91 after they won the finals.
He wasn't running the team.
He was not, but
he didn't want to. He didn't want to wield his power like LeBron did.
Kobe Bryant did this in LA. The best players should have influence over what's going on in the organization. How about this, Chris? They don't have a backup point guard, so LeBron at 32 leads the NBA in minutes per game. How is that happening? Your best player playing more minutes than anyone else in the league.
Yes, but let me go back to this. The NBA is different, okay? So it's the only league in America where the stars make money playing. They don't wear helmets. They don't have, they don't play 162 games. They make money on endorsements a ton. They got the moneymaker, the face. They're the stars of the league. Baseball doesn't. NFL shield. Baseball's about the history. Basketball's about stars and promoting them. Then they make money on apparel. I mean, they have revenue streams upon revenue streams. So when you have a chance to take with a $400 million net worth, $6 million less a year to get a good backup, because LeBron was specifically saying, our bench isn't LeBron.
Wait,
take a little less.
Why can't Dan Gilbert pay more of a tax? Why should Dan Gilbert's a billionaire?
How much
$5 million net worth?
Millions has LeBron made Dan Gilbert?
Yes, there you go.
It's not speculation. That team is going to be. That's going to be that team when he sells that team, whenever it is. It's going to be in the billions.
But he doesn't.
And he didn't buy it for close to that.
$30 million over the cap.
Yeah, and he's paying a luxury tax. Listen, there's a difference between being an owner and having the capital to own a team and being a player. I love LeBron. But when you guys converge, by the way, Miami's bench wasn't very good with LeBron, D-Wade, and Bosh. Golden State's bench, it's getting worse. Okay, Steph, you can cash out next year or take less.
Yeah, he should take less.
Player-driven league that now, because it started with Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen teaming up the super team, then Miami does it. Now Golden State does it, and they got 4 players. So now Cleveland's got to have more. You got to go more over the top. And the league becomes less interesting as more stars group together. Let me tell you where this is headed. I'm going to tell you where this is headed. You know who'll take less to come play in Cleveland and let someone Chris Paul will come get on the banana boat in Cleveland.
He'd have to take so much. He'd have to take like the mid-level exception. Nah, he's not doing that. And they don't need him. They got Kyrie Irving.
They need a backup, though. That's the problem.
So you want to play Chris Paul?
No. I'm saying somehow Chris Paul comes there, Kyrie goes someplace else. I'm talking about next year.
That would be a bad
Wait,
move.
Colin, you're telling me LeBron's making $30 million this year. He should make 20 so they could get Raymond Felton and some other guy as a backup.
If you want to win titles.
Does Dan Gilbert want titles?
I will say this.
$30 million
they keep focusing, including Griffin, that they need a playmaker. Offense isn't really their problem. Defense is their problem. They're middle of the road defensively. They scored 122 last night. And, they're not guarding. They've fallen in love with this, we're a three-point shooting finesse team. Well, guess what? You ain't out shooting Golden State.
Like, I don't have a problem.
And that's your problem.
This is a great point. Cleveland's issue right now is effort.
Yeah.
Because defense is effort, offense is talent. So they're fine. But again, the specific thing, you're getting frustrated about your bench. Okay. Brady's reworked his contract several times. Duncan reworked his contract. The guys that can be at least the appearances, they're egoless, are willing to take less. Kobe, in fact, who has a big ego, has a contract in the last 2 years that makes a nickel more than Kevin Garnett.
Tom Brady's wife's net worth is like $500 million. Okay, Brady could take $1 million and play for
LeBron's is $400 million. LeBron will make $300 million on shoes. Tom won't make a nickel.
Last thing to you. Dan Gilbert, $30 million over the cap. Yep. LeBron can't be $4 or $5 million under his cap.
Yeah, he should make less than Al Horford. You're right.
That wouldn't make much of a difference, though.
$6 million less. They couldn't spend it on a free agent for the kind of depth.
The fact that they'd still be over the cap, still be in the luxury tax, even if he took a few less.
Let's start with Aaron Rodgers, whose incredible run was enough to take the Packers to the NFC Championship game, but even he couldn't overcome Green Bay's, I think, pretty mediocre roster. After the game, Rodgers sent a clear message to the Packers front office. He said, quote, "We got to make sure we're going all in every year to win." I love that by Aaron. Jason, the Packers wasting his prime?
Wasting is a strong word. Taking advantage and not fully supporting his gifts, I think, is accurate. I think that if I'm Ted Thompson and I've got the best quarterback in football who can cover up a multitude of sins, maybe I get a little lazy and I'm not as active in free agency as I should be because, hey, Aaron can fix any problem and I can let these young guys develop. They need to go out and spend some money, find their next Reggie White, find their next Charles Woodson.
It's not just Aaron Rodgers. It's hard to find a really great quarterback, right? Well, it's hard to find a really great coach. So Ted Thompson's sitting there, and he's got Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. Okay, that's really good.
Yeah.
You owe them free agents. Like, I know you have this theory. Like, in our theory is we're going to build through the draft. Well, even Belichick doesn't agree with that. He'll go get a Martellus Bennett. He'll go get a Chris Hogan. He'll roll the dice on Randy Moss. It's cute. We're just going to use the draft. Well, that's one less leg of the bar stool than Belichick uses. Because Belichick's like, I'll use the draft, but I'll take risks on high, enigmatic players. Like, to me, they have become too transfixed, too, beholden to their style, which is we're doing it through the draft. You do realize before Favre and Rodgers, you went about 30 years with no playoff wins, or 2. You do realize, Colts, that Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck doesn't really happen for everybody. You don't go from LeBron and the next guy you get's as good as Michael Jordan. You have McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. Get on the free agent market to me.
I think there's nothing free about the free agent market. And you're going to overpay. You're going to significantly overpay for whoever you bring in. So you better be right. You better be right, and that guy better have an impact. And then you can't get mad at him when he doesn't play as a $50 million player, because he really should be a $30 million player, but the market dictated $50 million. And you could say don't build to the draft, but by building to the draft, it gives you the chance for longevity. It gives you the chance to compete year in and year out. It gives you a chance to sign your own guys. And to say that they're wasting his talent, look, they just were in the NFC Championship game. They ran out of gas. They've dealt with injuries. They dealt with a lot of issues. To me, they overachieved in a lot of ways, but I don't think that was I don't think Ted Thompson's sitting around going, well, I can take this year off. I've got Aaron Rodgers.
But Aaron's saying we got to make sure we go all in. The intimation is.
Well, to me, what does that mean? I'd love for Aaron.
Free agent market.
I'd love. Well, are you sure?
Well, I mean what did New England do this year? Bennett, Hogan. It was a message
that's every year. But what was the market like for Hogan? What was the market like for Bennett? It's not like they were competing against 20 teams, were they?
Well, it just seems to me that they take more risks on personnel.
Risk, I think, is something they should take more of. Take even Atlanta. They took a big risk going up high in the draft to get Julio Jones. Bill Belichick thought it was a mistake. It's paid off marvelously. Green Bay's got to be a little bit more aggressive, either through the draft or through free agency in some way.
I believe that what you're alluding to right there, that's the key. Being more aggressive during the draft. Because one thing I know about Ted Thompson is he likes to hold on to those later round picks. He would rather move back and get more on the back end in the draft at less, for less.
I get that.
And develop that. We can't sit here and say it has not worked, because that team is a contender every single year. However, I think what Aaron is alluding to is defensively, we got to make some type of splash. I don't think they're wasting his prime. I mean, they're 4 quarters away from getting to the Super Bowl. But I think what he's saying is we got to be all in. I want to see something. Meaning,
by the way, I'm all for developing players.
Mm-hmm.
But when the New England went out and got Hogan, that's a microwave, put him in, and he's ready to perform.
But again, it didn't cost a whole
Bennett,
lot.
but he's done this with Akeem Ayers. Bennett, he goes and gets guys that he can plug into his system.
He does that every year. Look, guys that he liked in the draft that he wasn't able to draft, when they come up in free agency, if he still likes them and they're available and they're at a reasonable price, he goes and gets them. He goes and gets them. He's done that for years and years. And to me, he's really good at that. He's really good at evaluating those guys. Now, there's a bunch of guys that we missed on over time.
Sure.
But we didn't overpay for them, so when they disappeared, we really noticed.
Of the 8 final teams, is a former NFL coach twice. You can watch TV and see things differently than I do. Of the 8 final teams, even the losers, Houston, Atlanta, Seattle, Pittsburgh, New England, I think Green Bay was the least talented roster. Like on television, I'm saying Houston's got a lot of good players. Seattle, Atlanta, Pittsburgh. Like, I looked at Green Bay, and I'm like, I don't see a ton of dynamic playmakers.
I disagree with that, because if this team is in the Super Bowl today, we're talking Patriots and we're talking Green Bay Packers, we're talking about the Clay Matthews, we're talking about the Sam Shields, if he's healthy, we're talking about all their guys, and we're putting them in a position of where, oh, these are playmakers. But because they didn't make it, now we're saying, well, they need more. Obviously, they need more. Everyone needs more when you don't make it.
Tom Brady will make his record 7th Super Bowl appearance, not straight, next Sunday, despite being suspended by Roger Goodell for the first 4 games of the year. While Patriots fans haven't been shy about expressing their outrage over Deflategate, Brady insists he is, quote, no animosity towards the commissioner. Colin, do you believe him?
Not really.
I like that.
Deflategate is questioning integrity. I think that's personal. Like, it'd be one thing if Goodell said something about you don't have talent or you're... But Deflategate always feels like, to me, that ends up on your obituary. That ends up in the first or second sentence. That's questioning all of your accomplishments. So I think it's a little more personal. I mean, Tom's a professional. He gets ripped on radio, TV. I mean, that's the reality of all you guys. Even great players get hammered all the time. But when you question the integrity, messing with equipment, pine tar bat, PED, it's a performance-enhancing question. It's not a PED, it's a PEQ.
It's a small one, but again, I think he won. And I'm talking about Tom Brady. He's in the Super Bowl. He had his best season. He went 28-2. I think all the Roger Goodell fuel, all that haterade, that's out now. Now it's about going to win this game. If I were him, I'd be over because I won. I proved my point. My legacy's intact. People respect me as the greatest of all time. That's not an outrageous comment. And no one in a real way, to me, has attacked Tom Brady's athletic competition integrity. Again, most people are like, hey, man, if he did fool with the footballs, everybody's doing it. He got caught. He got made an example. Let's move on. And
I think if he has animosity towards anybody, it's going to be you, Colin. You keep trying to get him out of there for Jimmy Garoppolo. You keep, every time we talk, it's like, whoa, if he has one bad game, he's out of there. But in terms of animosity towards the commissioner, look, he's a great guy. He's a wonderful guy. but he's also human. And I'm sure in the back of his mind, for him to have to deal what he had to deal with, in these circumstances, there's an element of like, oh, how do you like me now? Type thing. And he'll never.
A lot of you guys.
He'll never say it because why would he ever create a distraction? It's not what he does. There's no need for it, and he'll just let his performance and the things that he does in the field speak for himself.
I couldn't agree more. So, did you see his interview before the AFC Championship game?
Yeah.
Did you see his face, his expression? You think the comments that had been heard, that everyone saw because of the footage, you think that played no part into how we saw him at that press conference? No, it did. This is a guy who plays with a chip. He just understands how to channel it. He's not going to be someone who takes attention away from his team or become a distraction. He would never do that. That's not who he is. That's what a true competitor does. They want you to say something that will ignite them even more.
Well, Michael Jordan was petty with his Hall of Fame speech. I do think the difference between, the Kobes and a lot of, players is that willfulness. It's almost like it's a DNA. You're just always you're creating like false equivalencies. You're creating like enemies because it keeps you motivated. I think that's I love Tom, but he didn't have the best feet, didn't have the best body, didn't have the best arm. He's the most willful professional athlete I can think of.
I'll say this. If he hasn't let it go, and you guys are making compelling arguments that maybe he hasn't. If he hasn't let it go, I think it's because he felt like not just was Goodell questioning his integrity, I think he feels like Goodell was using him and that he was used in a political pawn move of all these black players are upset with the commissioner about discipline. And so he went overboard in trying to take on a high-profile white player and ran Tom Brady's name through the mud to try to clear up his perception problem with black players. If that's what Tom feels, I don't blame him for not letting go of the animosity.
This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. We're excited to be headed to Houston next week for the show. Remember, guys, you can see it on YouTube, we're on TV, we're on podcast, we're on Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere, basically. So tell all your friends in Houston, get down to the set. You could drop by the set and see us clown around and have fun. All the FS1 studio shows will be in Houston. Check out our Twitter feed for all the details if you want to drop by and, compliment Whitlock on his hats. Subscribe to the show on iTunes. We'll talk to you tomorrow.